And then I got the little notification and all that good stuff.
All right.
Did you have, did you get to like look through that article with the Lord, the people watching their employees and all that good stuff with the sensors and all the craziness?
I glanced at it. I'm gonna have you give me a
Okay,
brief
I took like
overview.
little notes what I want to bring up. I'll probably bring it up in just a bit. I figured just
All
kind of
right.
like talk about some of the news that I saw from this week, which was mainly the
Now
Wendy's
we're
thing first.
live.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And I figured people like trickle in because you know how it goes. But I figured I would just kind of run my mouth just for a bit, and so that way, so that way is somewhat lively for a bit. And I'll edit that part out, whatever I share.
hmm
But yeah, I figured. What else did we have? That yeah, there was a lot inside that thing. I was like, man, I didn't realize they made software that did stuff like that, stuff
Yeah.
like seating
I,
and stuff. That was crazy.
yeah. I had someone ask me to use that software, and I've refrained from it. So.
This is yeah, man. I was like, it's like I hear stories from other people how they are going through like things like this, but it's just like actually like hearing about it, it's like wow, like companies really out here doing that. Like y'all don't trust the people y'all hire.
hmm Yeah. So no, I can't wait to get into that discussion.
Me too. And then also too, I love the tip you shared yesterday with the appreciation, employee engagement stuff too. So definitely we'll swing into that some point.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then figure out what my other people are doing. All right, so I guess instead of me rambling about the same stuff, let me go ahead and just talk. So I don't know. Do you want to do? No, I'm not gonna do introduction yet. We'll just wait just a few minutes.
Okay.
I still want to like lead into because I'm still on this little surge pricing thing with Wendy's because with these employees and stuff, like we were talking about. Well, I'm saying we like we were, but I was talking about it with somebody else too. Like, how they're just implementing these policies and stuff, and they aren't running it by their teams and stuff. And with Wendy's, with fast food, like y'all know, these people get cussed out, they get stuff thrown at them, and all kind of stuff with the customer service. And the fact that they're doing that, knowing they have to talk to these customers and try to explain
hmm
the new policies as it's happening is just wild to me.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to hit on that and like how to implement policies, like newer things. Like I get like businesses want to try out different things, like it's normal and stuff. But like, how do we like work that inside of that, especially legally? I don't know if it's like a legal thing or what, or just like a moral thing. Like, are you a good person for doing that? Like, how do we work that into that? So that's just like a thing that's been bothering me. Hi, Kenneth. This is pretty open. We kind of keep the flow here of like natural conversation. Like, it's not that we're teaching at you. So feel free if you want to come up, chime in on anything we're speaking about. Raise your hand, come on up, and just talk. Otherwise, glad you're here.
Yeah. Well, happy Friday. How was your week, Adriana?
It was good. Like I had a call right before here telling somebody helping her figuring out with how she can license some of her intellectual property and stuff. So like did that. Have this, which I'm super excited to talk about because you know I love all things policies and all that stuff and like how to improve businesses, employee happiness and all that good stuff. So yeah. After that, I am taking a break from rest of my mouth because it's been a long week. How about you?
It has been a long week, but I've gotten a lot done. I have to tell you, I've been like one of the goals for this year for myself and my team members was to increase our visibility and to make sure that we were doing a lot more networking. And so we've been using LinkedIn to network with other folks in our space, as well as people that might be someone that would be a client that could use our services and really benefit from them. And
Hmm.
so it has kept my calendar packed. Like even today, like I just have back to back to back meetings and things on my calendar. I think I have a couple spaces where maybe I have a half hour break in between, but this week has been something else. So,
Yeah,
but
I'm
it's
glad.
been good. It's been very good and positive, and I'm so happy at the people that I've met. And I think it's a true testament to like you can form relationships with people that you meet online, which is kind of how we connected, right?
Exactly.
You
It just
know,
folded from there.
yep, and you meet some really awesome people. And just leading into that, I have to say congratulations and that I am so, so proud of you. I saw, yesterday you actually were selected and won an award and recognition on Alignable.
Thank you.
For the local businesses. And so, as being a leader, in local businesses there. And so, I think that that is awesome. And I've noticed, I'm telling you, over like, the last couple months, I'm sure it's intentional, right? But I've
Hmm.
definitely noticed, like the growth and what have you that you've, been experiencing and recognition and things like that. And so, yeah, I'm so proud of you and what you're doing with your business. I think it's awesome. Like I came across a post the other day I shared on my social media pages and it said some years are for growing, but this one is for blooming. And so I definitely see you blooming.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I put some of these seeds down like a year and a half ago. I was like, they're finally starting to come into bloom. So I am accepting everything that's coming this way.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome.
All right. So I guess because it's March 1st, it's what I've learned, which I kind of forgot about, but it is National Employee Appreciation Day. So we're going to get some tips on appreciating your employees by not spying on them and some other things. And we'll get to that topic in just a bit. But Janetta, you
Yes.
said there's another thing too?
Um, I think that is. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So, congratulations to the employees for sticking it out. Yay, you survived. Now, the other day, I have become aware of because I've started, one of the things that I've started to do, like from a business perspective, is to work with more nonprofits. So, actually, we onboarded a new client this week that is a nonprofit organization, and there was a national nonprofit conference this week that was virtual that I was a member of and participant of. But we actually have today as the National Certified Nonprofit Professionals Day, which is a worldwide recognition. So we thank those people that work in that nonprofit space. There's some really great organizations that are really impacting and literally changing people's lives. So, again, we want to give those folks some recognition as well.
I love it. Yeah, I used to be a board member of a nonprofit here locally. So, yeah, definitely a lot of work that goes into stuff. So, I'm glad they got their flowers too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Now, one of the things I wanted to jump in, and I think we talked about this offline, but I want you guys to mark your calendars because March 11th, the DOL, the Department of Labor, set new guidelines for determining what independent contractors are, right? So there's
Hmm.
already, there's the checklist out there. I don't know how many people actually use that checklist, but hopefully if you're using or have an HR consultant or someone working with you, they're walking you through that process to make sure that you have folks in your organization classified correctly. But the guidelines are tightening up. They are getting a little bit stricter with kind of the test to designate whether or not an individual truly is an independent contractor or 1099, as some people refer to them, or if they fall more into that employee W-2 category. So that is going to impact some businesses, especially small businesses, guys. So March 11th, mark your calendars for that.
Jeez, that is coming up too.
Yeah, it is, and I'm telling you, it's again, it's interesting, right? So part of it, I've been watching since the beginning of the year. So my theory is this, had something to do with it. I started to see just in some of my HR and labor relations like publications, these lawsuits that have been filed and even some won, where contractors were suing individuals that they were doing work for like overtime pay and benefits and
Yeah.
things like that. So basically, co-employment, right? So they were getting having some confusion. And I think what may be kind of a cause of this is that during kind of that shutdown period, we started to see an influx of gig workers, right? 1099s, and they were people that traditionally all of their life had worked W-2. They've been employees, their parents were
Right.
employees, everyone they know around them were employees. And I think for some people, it has been a shift or a hard transition into that space. And so, when you're working for yourself, you got to put some money away for taxes. You have to make sure that you have things set up. And, and some folks were just going at it and not establishing entities, like an LLC or what have you, to do
Yeah.
business with. But, I think that that may have a little bit to do with it. And I think, the government may have tried to step in as a solution and tighten up the guidelines. But as we look, as we know, sometimes they go a little too far, right? Because their
Right.
vantage point is so distant and far away. Sometimes they do too much. And so I think that that's what we're seeing here. So hopefully, I know, I'm on the National Small Business Association Leadership Council. We do have, some letters in. We actually do have filed some lawsuits and things so that, again, hopefully they can take a look at that and make some adjustments or repeal it so that we're not hurting, especially those small businesses that
Yeah.
need on W-2 employees, and they really, really rely on having those gig workers working for them.
Yeah, I can see that. I swear. There's always something. And just to, I know this wasn't mentioned, but like, what is it, the BOI report they have us doing too? Like for those that like just started business. Is it BOI or is it something else? I can't remember.
No, so that report is if you have an LLC, you basically have to kind of self-report, right? And designate beneficiaries and things like that for your business. So
Hmm.
that is I believe it's the CTB, and it is another one that is ruffling some feathers. Trust and believe. Okay, because it is it's kind of going to change the game a little bit here. um Again, personally, I'm not for it because again,
Yeah.
the whole it really goes against our constitutional rights and things of that nature. And it kind of negates the whole premise of having an LLC, which is a limited liability, right?
Right.
And so many of us, we use these organizations to have some separation between ourselves and some separation between the business, right? And so um again, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like it's the right move. So again, I will tell you that the National Small Business Association does have some some has filed some litigation and to have them repeal that. And so, so I'm waiting to see what happens there, and I definitely will come back and give you guys an update, as I get more information on that. But the way that it's set up, or the ruling now currently, if you
Hmm.
filed an LLC, prior to January 1st, 2024, you actually have till the end of the year to actually fill out that paperwork. Now, any LLCs formed after January 1st, 2024, they actually are prompted to fill out that paperwork right away. So,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure and get that clear because there's so much like information going out there and like not right because people just be posting anything on social media. So just wanted to slide that
no,
in there as well.
no, absolutely. I think, again, it's interesting the climate of it. I've heard other podcasts and things touching on it, and some people are, again, like they're really, really touched by this, and like you're hearing things where folks are going in and they're like, "It's a war on LLCs. The government's trying to take us down," and I mean, I think it is. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
But again, I say look into it. Make sure that you visit a CPA that has some working knowledge around this so that they can guide and direct you, or visit an attorney that can guide and direct you around this as well, just so that you're making the right decisions. Don't purely rely on TikTok and the internet,
Right.
to be your resource for information.
No, that makes sense. All right. Well, since we are on the top, well, not on the topic, but like since we did say that it's Employee Appreciation Day, I want to touch on this article I saw. It was on the Harvard Biz Review. It's like I think it was last month, February. Actually, yeah, because it's March. But anyway, they were talking about like different methods people are using to watch their employees. Like I know it's supposed to be appreciating them and everything, but like I want to touch on this because this is something I didn't realize was happening. Like really like mainstream with like a lot of bigger companies, like how they're watching their employees. Like I was reading that they were having like screenshots to make sure that people are working. They had, I think JP Morgan was one of them. They had like a software to track like how long the employees were using emails on their spreadsheets, calls. Someone had like location tracking. There was even one they had like desk heat sensors. Like I didn't even know that was like a thing. So I wanted to like touch on that a little bit, talk on that. Like, what in the world? Like, what is this, and why is it like I don't know? Like, I feel like it's kind of like a control thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Like, from your personality, I know you're HR, so like, have you ever dealt with any companies that wanted to do this kind of stuff? Like, really watch their employees and
Well, I
yeah.
take it I think this came out, I think last year.
Mhm.
I did like a quick TikTok about, again, companies using the software. And so my stance on it is, if like, I think you need to do better in your screening process. If you feel like you need to spy on your employees, then maybe that was a wrong hire. Like, let's put the focus on tightening up our recruiting process so we're hiring people that are ethical, that fit in with the values of the company, and that we can trust, more importantly, because we're all adults, right? And so I think it is a bit invasive. I think it sparked out of the work from home era, and some companies may even
Mhm.
be doing it. And I don't know if the article you referenced, distinguish or designated whether they're doing this in the office or work from home. But we know there's always a bad apple here or there, right?
Yeah.
So there's some people that, um, they're not necessarily working from home. Um,
Hmm.
I've seen some funny. It's funny to me, even as an HR person, where people have shown like gadgets they have to, um, rest on the mouse area on their laptop, so that, like,
Yeah.
tools like Microsoft Teams, your light is always green, showing
Oh
that
yeah.
you're at your computer and they're not. I know I have been. I remember being in Puerto Rico, and I was listening to this young man. I was on the beach, and he was telling, everyone like how he actually had managed to have three jobs, right?
Oh wow.
During that time period, and that was still during the shutdown period. Um,
Okay.
and the way that he did it was He worked from home for two of them. One was a bank, so I don't know if it was the bank you mentioned, but one was a bank and one was another office job. The one office job required him to go into the office like once a month. On that day in the office once a month, he said he actually would have his girlfriend who lived with him actually just go and like look at emails and like just
Oh
get the
wow.
computer going. Oh, he had a whole system set up, girl. And so
Jeez.
like when you hear stories like that, it's like okay, like you know why companies are kind of doing some of that. But again, like that's usually, it's one or two bad apples out of the bunch. I had, I have contractors in other countries, in Colombia mostly. Um, I was approached by someone, that I brought onto the team that was in Colombia who'd worked previously with a law firm in the US from Colombia. And she actually had helped set up a shadow team over there to service this US based law firm. And she suggested to me, well, why don't you use software? Because they were using it, like the company that she'd worked for, so she was familiar with it, that tracked the employees' time, like in time on their computer.
Mm.
And I just have no interest in that. I feel like if I can't trust you, I don't want to work with you,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's just my stance on it. But it is like I think again some of it does, like you said, it takes snapshots and things. And who wants that if you're like taking a drink of your cup? Or I will tell you, I'm using a note taking. I'm trying it out, a note taking app, and it does
Mm.
that. And I'm sorry, I look at some of these screenshots. Like, my mouth is half open, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's unflattering, you know?
Yeah, I like that you did bring it up. 'Cause I will say, especially during COVID time, especially on TikTok, people were talking like, "Oh my goodness, like I work this job and like I can do this, that, and the third." But they also got laid off. But just the point being, I can see why some companies are up in arms almost, and they're like, they feel like they have to do certain things. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it's way too much, like screenshot and stuff. And I agree with you. I feel like this be working through the process with onboarding to make sure you actually have like things laid out. I feel like as long as people are doing the job, like it doesn't matter.
I wonder if, like, again, I don't know if the article got into this, but I'm curious as to whether or not some of the companies are actually doing this um, as kind of a means to push people into the office. So, for instance, and see,
Hmm.
maybe my mind, look, the Pisces in me may be overthinking this, but for instance, if they're saying, okay, if you work from home, you have these tools on your computer where the spyware, but if you come into the office, you don't have to have that on your computer.
Hmm.
You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because
Yeah,
I
that's
know, like, there's a battle right now with employer versus employee around the work from home. Many of these companies are taking a hard nose and they're forcing employees back into the office. And that's a whole nother tear. I feel like there's so much more behind that. It's not what's at the surface, but all these CEOs are now forcing employees into the office. Some of them, again, I wonder where some of this is coming from because some of it does seem cruel. And I feel like it's a deterrent for employee retention and attraction. Some of them are putting rules in place where, um, you can work from home 2 to 3 days out of the week, but it can't be a Monday and a Friday,
hmm.
which means it's Tuesday. Just tell me I can only work from
Yeah,
home Tuesday,
right.
Wednesday, Thursday. Look, look, tell me I can only work from home Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday without telling me. Look. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I remember I was reading an article like last month about that. Like I can't remember the specific company, but I just thought, oh wow, like that. At that point, it just seems like cruel because again I think it comes from the place. It's almost like, oh, we want to make sure you're not having fun, we want to make sure you're not planning a long vacation, you know.
Hmm.
But why, like why wouldn't you want your employees to be able to optimize their time and still get work done for you, but also be able to leverage it so that they are showing up for their families? so that they are getting some R&R, some rest and relaxation, so they can show up as their best selves and in their best mental health to be able to perform and take your business, to the top.
That's exactly how I feel. I was gonna stop really quick. I just want to shout y'all out, Kenneth, Dr. Lisa. Thanks for popping in. I wanted to also say too, if you guys want to come up and contribute to the conversation, feel free to. We kind of run
Yeah.
this kind of like conversational base, so it's just kind of like talk and say whatever
Yep.
you like to say. But yeah, just
Hey
wanted to shout that out
guys.
real quick.
All right, looks like Dr. Lisa, come on up.
Oh, I'm the host. Oh Lord Jesus! I was like, why she ain't coming up? But never mind. I never hit the button. My bad.
Mm,
Hey, Dr. Lisa.
you may have to unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. All
Wait.
right.
Okay,
Oh,
there
here
we
we
go.
go. Now, the LinkedIn's been kind of weird too, like with this hand raising thing. I hope they make this a little more easier. I had myself muted.
Hello, everyone. Virtual hug,
Hey.
Adriana. Hey. I
Hi.
just wanted to kind of add to the conversation. How you mentioned all the pushback for work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we touched on it, but yeah, please do give your expertise on this.
Yeah, yeah. Come back, because I want to hear all the insight.
Oh yeah, my thing was doing that earlier too. I don't know. She'll be back. But in the meantime, I lost my train of thought where we were at. We were talking about the spine. We were talking about working at home. Lord, see, when I just get talking, I'd be forgetting. Like this is why I was like, I need to start taking a bullet note of where I'm at. I was like, I just be freeballing it and just talking and just seeing wherever my mind takes me.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, so I feel like there can be a happy medium with that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of like what needs to be implemented though. And I know Dr. Lisa definitely has something on that. What can be implemented to kind of like make sure both sides can be satisfied with what's going on?
Yeah, I'm telling you. Um, I just, yeah, I don't know. I just, again,
Mm-hmm.
I take issue with that. I will tell you, like, we already, like, if you are working with a company,
Mm-hmm.
like in corporate, I always remind people because they just log into their computers. Um, you click through the screens, but in those intro screens, those are actual disclosures, like letting you know that they can access your computer. Like I remember, being in HR, like we would work with IT often, and they even some of them would like kind of play or joke with me. Like they would kind of tap in and take control of my computer and like start moving my mouse around and
That's
I'm like,
hilarious.
wait a minute, what's going on? And so for me, like it was always a practice to me. Like I never logged into like my bank account and stuff. Like I know some people and they use their work computer and they like they'll go into their bank account, they'll, go to personal sites and things. I was strict with that because once I learned that they actually could do that, and then I remember I was at a plant, like, first job right out of grad school. I was with Ford Motor Company, actually. And in New Jersey at a plant. And I remember going into the IT offices, which was like always locked, right? So they had to let you in, and they had all these screens they were looking and monitoring, like people's
Yeah.
computer activity. And so then they were showing me, like the things that they could do and what have you. Because usually, they used to have, like, we were kind of around the same age, just out of school. But that stuck with me. And I was like, oh, I will not be logging on to, do any personal. things.
Yeah.
So beware of that. I think people forget about that. But yeah, they've taken it up a notch. I mean, technology has increased, especially with AI technology. But yeah, like now you got screenshots and stuff like that. And yeah, you
Yeah,
just
I
have
will
to be
say.
careful.
Okay, I didn't want to like talk over you. I was like, ooh.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just saying you just have to be careful.
Yeah, and I will say too, because one of the clients I helped, like when it came to this, I'm just talking from like her perspective, like too, because that was like one of her fears, because of course we were setting up like the day to day, like her staff was gonna utilize the phones, like how often they're gonna be on the phone and all this good stuff, and she didn't want to come off as being like these folks. Like she didn't want to seem like I treat them like they're human, but like also make sure they're working. So like we had to come up with like some kind of policy, being like, okay, like we pretty much had to like come up with like an encouragement system. So I was like, I feel like more companies need to like be realistic. 'Cause her staff worked. I think she was trying to find a building, but everyone was pretty much remote. So like trying to
Hmm.
find like a happy median with that stuff. So it's like we had to come up with like the policies for like working at home, and if you are going to be out, like this is what needs to happen. Like you can make sure at least go somewhere quiet, things like that. But she had
Hmm.
chat and all this other stuff too. So I would say that. But it's just I don't know. Like for people that's already set in and kind of like ingrained, like people need to be in office or they need to be working every minute of every
Yeah.
day. It's like it's hard
And
getting
I
them to
want to
see
hear
like
it, like the
yeah.
perspectives, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
interesting for me because like now again a lot of the rhetoric from companies or CEOs is that well the teams aren't being as efficient, the teams aren't being as productive. So I wonder even from our our guests, like what are your thoughts there? Because I don't know, like I felt like when I was kind of in the corporate space that I was able to
Mm-hmm.
be more productive at home sometimes because like I would go into the office and I literally like you have people coming in and out of your office on Monday. Oh, how was your weekend? Oh, what'd you do? Oh, and it's like
Right.
you're like taking up my time. Like I have stuff to do, and so, at home I kind of jump into it. I think for me, like one of the things I have to be aware of is because my computer is right here. And again, now I'm in a different space because I own my own business. So I don't have strict working hours. And yeah, it might be at night, I might jump on my computer and do something. But I think some people, the opposite extreme is that they work a lot more because they have their computer right there, and so they're tempted if an email comes in they're going to respond, and then they get engaged in a conversation or a project. And so
Yeah, that was my thing because so like I get distracted very easily. So like even working at home, like yeah, I could dive into work, but I was that person like because it was at home, I felt like I needed to check it all the time. Especially with running on the business, it's just like I feel like oh, let me respond to this real quick, or let me do this, that, and the third, and trying to establish boundaries around that. So I was like, for me, I wouldn't mind like if I were to go in corporate world again, I wouldn't mind going in every so often, just because I like
hmm
having like the free reign, but it's kind of like if people are going to work from home, it's just kind of like clarifying what boundaries need to be set prior to. So yeah, there's so many like sides to this and all this stuff. I was like, it can definitely be done, but definitely something even with my contractors too. Like I found myself just kind of like emailing them and like even though I told them to respond whenever they can, because I pretty much just like as long as you meet the due dates, I don't really care when and where, how you work, just get it done. So
hmm
I had to remind myself, like, let me stop emailing her at like midnight just because I'm up randomly. And I'm telling her
yeah,
not to respond to me. Like, it's okay. They're feeling pressure to respond to me. So I was like, okay,
yeah.
let's shut up. Yeah.
And I try to remember when I do, like you can do the delayed send. Because for
Yeah.
me, like sometimes it's easier for me to knock out my emails at night. Like I may be sitting on the couch, grab my laptop and just, draft up emails so that I'm not taking time during my core business hours doing that. And
Right.
like I schedule send them, to go out at like 7:30 or 8 a.m. or something like that. So
Yeah, that's definitely helped.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But again, I think this kind of leads us into um, kind of the next topic. I know we talked about offline as well, and you wanted to kind of get into and share some thoughts around employee engagement.
Yeah. The main thing I wanted to share with that, at least from my side, because this this is not my strongest realm. Because it's like I do I'll help implement the policies. Like I'll help you come up with stuff, but like usually this is like where someone else shines. Because I am not. Let me not say I don't work with people because I do, but implementing some of that stuff is just kind of like, all right, someone else needs to take care of that, make sure it gets done. But I will say for mine, I'll say for what helped me, because again, I work with a lot of 1099s. I don't have employees yet. I don't know if I am ever going to have employees, just with the direction I want to take my business in. With them, I pretty much had to build in like certain spaces for them to not feel like they're just like working. So like my main thing was I wanted to create a space for them to of course get work done, but like also to use the space to like connect with each other, mentoring, because usually I train up other virtual assistants and all this other stuff too. So like I wanted to create a space for them. But of course they can't fully do that stuff unless they are actually engaged and they actually care about what's going on. So just making sure I had things in place that allow for that. So I did policy surrounding God, what did I do? I pretty much just did like different policies and stuff that allowed move. God, I lost my train of thought. I was trying to talk and see if it'll come back, but pretty much just like creating policies like, okay, I know I want to create this for like the future, so like I'll like align my policies for team building, even if they're there or not. Like I align my policies to match what I want things to be in the future. So like if I want to create a mentorship, I started creating like spaces like if they need to do that, I need to make sure I have this software that helps measure certain things to make sure they are satisfied. Like I implemented more one-on-one meetings, making sure they actually like the job they got hired for. Because that happened a lot too. Because like sometimes I'll hire somebody for something and they ended up not liking the job anymore. So like I noticed momentum dropping or like the delivery, the deliverables and stuff were starting to slack a little bit. And I'm just like, you good? So just simple fixes like implementing that one-on-one meetings. I found out she didn't even like the job anymore. She's like, I kind of moved my own business new direction. I kind of want to stick with that. So it's just like, okay, little tweaks here. You could do this instead of what you're doing now. Just put the next contractor here and just keep things
Hmm.
afloat. So I'll just say that, like, just kind of aligning, setting up the business to in a way to allow for engagement and satisfaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I think at the core of it, people want to feel good about the places that they work for or work with, right? And so the things that we just talked about, like the
Mm-hmm.
spyware and using all these tactics, and then having like all these rules that, again, some of them just seem cruel to me, right?
Yeah.
Um, and and I question like the humanity in it, and or having like such stark different rules for like the executives versus like your worker bees, right? And so I think that companies need to look at those things first for employee engagement and see if they need to maybe tweak some of their policies. Like I say, it's not a set it and forget it. Policy creation needs to be evolutional. It needs to, you know, resonate with the times. And I think that you should really take a look at it, if not yearly, a few times a year, and really see if, the things that you have in place are applicable and adjust them where you need to. The other thing I think too, especially like with remote workers or even contractors, so like with my team, I try to like make sure they kind of know at a high level like what's going on with the business. Like if there's good news to share, if we pick up a new client, um, especially like clients that are doing good work, right? So like the nonprofit, again, it was kind of a divine connection, and like I said, most of my staff members are in Colombia, and this nonprofit that we're working with, like I feel really good about it to be able to help them. They actually help immigrants that come over to the country get on their feet. They provide them with housing. They work with a lot of children. Like I didn't realize the number of children that are sent over by themselves,
Mm,
into our
yeah.
country. And so they have housing and um, so they're, helping to feed them, clothe them, and educate them and things like that so that they can, have some sustainable living or get placed with a home. And so that was important because of, again, the individuals that I have working with Edmond Enterprises, right? And then I found out as we, got engaged with them, they also do have resources over in Colombia specifically. And so I shared that with, the team members. And like, again, I could just sense, like, from their responses, the pride. They were like, oh, yeah, I shared their website. They were like, wow, like, they are a really good organization. Wow. And again, that helps,
Mhm.
build that team feeling, especially when you're working toward a greater good, like together. And I think people go their extra mile. They go a little bit harder because they know, like there's some passion behind it. And so
Yeah.
I think those are ways that people miss where they can, kind of help create that passion, for their employees around the help that they're providing to their clients.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to do like a quick stopping point again because y'all know checking on y'all, make sure y'all are good. If y'all want to come up, we're talking about employee engagement right now and like little tips, like what would help keep people staying at a company.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what we're talking about right now. If you like to chime in, feel free. Or if you were tuning in earlier, feel free to like backtrack if you like to. And yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah,
We'll keep it
I
moving.
think one of the other areas too with the engagement, like let's, again, we have to talk about it, like the inflation. And then
Mm.
I've had clients like smaller companies, and it's hard for them to keep up, and they can raise the wages, but I think they also should look at supplemental benefits as well because it won't break their bank, but it helps them provide access to some other additional benefits to their folks to show them that they do care about them. It looks like we have somebody that's joining us.
Yeah, hey Amy.
Hi, Adriana, and hi, Clinetta. I hope I'm saying
Hi.
your name correctly. Is it
Uh,
Clinetta?
yes, absolutely. Yep, you got it right.
Wonderful. Yeah, this is my first time actually on LinkedIn events or audio, um, and so I this is a really great conversation you're having about engagement in the workplace because what that's just something that interests me a lot because my company we measure engagement within the workplace actually with Mood Connect.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about it? Well, of course I know,
Yeah.
but give us a little bit more details.
Yeah, um, so how Mood Connect measures the engagement within teams is it integrates with your communication portal, and then it anonymously will uh, offer the engagement analytics. So it doesn't point to any kind of uh, employee necessarily, but it just looks at how the group of employees are engaging with each other, and measures that based off of sentiment analysis. So yeah, uh, it we integrate with Microsoft Teams, uh, Slack. We also have a Chrome plugin, and we also analyze audio and text. So Yeah, but I'm happy to connect with you guys and share a little bit more about it, offline. But it's something that I really, am very interested in, and I'd love to know what kind of tools or resources you're using for measuring engagement within your teams.
So I'm not necessarily using tools to measure engagement within my teams because I use contractors, but with my clients because I'm a fractional HR solutions provider. We use employee engagement surveys. And so, especially like for those smaller companies, it can be any. Sometimes people think it has to be this massive, event, but it doesn't. Like you can, put together something using Survey Monkey. The key is to get feedback from your employees on what's important to them, and take that data and look for trends because that lets you know that hey, this is something that we really need to pay attention to. And like I mentioned, a lot of times what usually comes out from those surveys is folks really want to be heard. They want to have better training. They want to grow in their career, in their skill, and oftentimes they want better pay and benefits. And so, you know, we can find solutions for that. And I think if employers really care about employee engagement, they will, take the time to hear from their employees and work to address some of those things.
Yeah, and I definitely think that surveys are still so very important, but what Mood Connect, what we're able to do is just sort of show you the trends and the patterns that are going on in the background. Because oftentimes the problem with surveys, and sorry, apologies for my cat in the background here. Um, Oftentimes, what happens with surveys is that employees are either fearful that their responses are going to have some kind of impact on their professional relationship with their manager, employer, HR. And then the other thing that happens that's interesting is that you don't get that honest feedback that you might be expecting because a person actually feels appreciated and cared for when someone asks them, like how they're doing in their work or what they're needing. And so then you almost get more of a positive outcome because the survey is asking employees the questions that that kind of touch them a little bit more on on a sentimental kind of side. So you get kind of a false positive in some ways. You don't really know what is going on in the day to day as your employees are working with each other. If there's any kind of instances of frustration or burnout or confusion, because it's not going to necessarily always show up in a survey. These kinds of issues that can take place within the workplace, and so engagement is something that we really kind of want to focus on, because it's measuring the sentiment of the relationships and the conversations within teams. It can just sort of fill in the gaps a little bit. And I apologize for going on a little bit. Um, I'll go on mute.
Okay. I know we have Dr. Lisa that came up to join us as well.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hello again. I really like the idea of what Amy brought to the forefront, her tool. I am an HR researcher slash evaluator, so I understand the importance of surveys and I definitely understand the disadvantages of it. But I know you mentioned what tools we use to look at engagement. I don't use one set tool. since I am a researcher, so I'm going into each business and drafting. The whole thing is actually I'm using it as a research approach. So it's my study, my case study. So I go into a business and I'm drafting my questions because I use a qualitative approach. I prefer qualitative over surveys and things, and because I want to get the most in depth information. So I'm drafting my questions um, based on the conversations that I'm going to have. And then, of course, I'm adjusting them as I go throughout the conversations, whether through focus groups or one on one interviews, any type of qualitative method. Qualitative method, even though I do use quantitative approaches as well, but I'm all about trying to get the most in-depth information possible. And I could see how Mood Connect could be an asset for helping with engaging individuals from a one-on-one perspective. I was wondering how could that tool be used for the type of approach that I do, because I'm a continuous evaluator. So when I take on projects, they can go for years, and I'm constantly evaluating whether it's training or non-training investments. So I just kind of had that question, and how would I, as a business owner and as a consultant, help use that tool for a client, or even from my approach with determining trends and different things, because I also look for the return on investment and business impact based on solutions. So I love looking at the intangibles and connecting them to the tangible aspect of a business. So I'm wondering how that could be used and be beneficial.
Yeah. Thanks for asking about that, Dr. Lisa. And I had a look at your profile, and I'm so glad that we got connected today. I mean, Clanetta, and you, and I see someone down there, Sarah, I think, down in the listening area. Wow, such wonderful, amazing people in business that are like game changers. I can definitely see, Dr. Lisa, that you're very open to using new technologies, and that you're utilizing data science, which I love. For getting the results that that you deserve to have in your business, right? Um, yeah. So how it works is, Mood Connect works really, really well for long term research. Of course, you can still use surveys and and all of that, but it offers a little bit more deeper insights, but also kind of a high level of insights. How I use it and how a lot of my clients use it is they're just able to see at a glance what the engagement looks like. Our, everything is color coded in our system, so you can really see just at a glance. Oh, is there high levels of enthusiasm in the engagement that's going on? Is there high levels of confusion? Maybe look a little bit deeper, see why is there maybe some high levels of confusion within a certain time span of the communication that you might be having with your client, or you might be having with or your team might be having with each other. What's really great about Mood Connect is that it looks at the engagement that you're having within your team, but then you can also use it for uh, you know customer I'm sorry, customer service training. You can really just look at any kind of engagement, whether it's customer engagement or internal employee engagement, really. And how it works is uh, when you integrate with any kind of communication portal, then the AI bot will start to score the conversation, and then it will just store the sentiment. None of the conversation is stored on our server side. It remains on the user server side. The AI bot just wants to report back to your dashboard what the sentiment was of the conversation. Once that happens, then any kind of record or memory of the conversation is removed, so that so that people are feel safer and less concerned with with AI training and all of that. We feel very it's of high level importance that security and privacy be taken into consideration, and so we're very concerned with all of that.
Okay, thank you. So the key would be for the leaders to actually engage. I'm laughing because if you guys don't follow me, I always speak on the importance of leaders engaging, and that's for me and my hypothesis is why there is an issue with disengagement with employees. So the key is for leaders to step up and lead effectively. Thank you, Amy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I will say sometimes it's such a challenge for leaders to even engage, like executives to engage with each other. Perhaps it's because they're really busy, or maybe it's because they want to just sort of be, isolated unto themselves. But I think, are you saying, leaders not engaging with their team? Is that the issue?
I just mean, just as far as workplace relations, and that being a key with why there is a lot of disengagement because there may be issues with communication or a lack of transparency and understanding or the willingness for individuals to even want to collaborate. And then also with trust. Trust is a big thing with me, and there is a lot of issues related to trust. I know, I think it's, I can't remember the statistic off my head, but I think it says about only one in three employees trust their employer. So there's a big issue with trust, and there's also an issue with employers trusting employees, which is why there's this big pushback with return to work and hybrid work and remote work, and whether that should be an issue. Why is, oh wait, what happened? Ah,
It does that to me too.
get me out. Mm,
All right.
I know. LinkedIn, I don't know, the audio sometimes likes to act wonky.
Oh goodness. Well, that was some great discussion. Like I'm glad
It
that
was.
we were able to get some discussion from the audience this time, because I think, again, I think there's so much like with engagement, and definitely companies are going to have to get on top of that. Like this year, I think that's a focus on many companies' minds, just as they're weathering 2024 and all the changes that are here and those that are to come. So for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's really important right now, more than ever, to be caring about where, to be caring about employees and how they're responding to operations that are taking place, um, especially because of just so many changes that are happening in the world around us, um, and how they're impacting workplaces. I think, it's really great that you're having this conversation, Adriana and Clanetta. And I'm so glad that we heard from Dr. Lisa too. I hope that she is able to, share more. I don't know how much longer you're having this event space. I don't know what they call it in LinkedIn, but this is a really great conversation, a very valuable conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
This is awesome. I appreciate you guys chiming in. This was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
All right. Well,
so thank you guys for chiming in. I think we're at the end of it, Adriana. I just, as we close out, I just want to highlight again, Again, I think another solution that people may need to look at as well around that training, right? Or more importantly, defining skills, which is the area that you operate in, and helping to define those processes and things for people. That's invaluable. Um, I will say also with Edmond Enterprises, we've partnered with a supplemental benefits provider. So we've been working with some of our clients to provide solutions for them to be able to offer some additional benefits to their employees that don't break the bank. And we're using those as strategies not only to increase employee engagement, but to increase our employee attraction and retention within their teams and organizations.
Thank you for that because that's definitely needed too. I feel like we could go on and on with this topic. There's so much to hit on, but we will end it here because we'll be here for another hour.
Yep, absolutely. So again,
um,
thank you guys for joining us, the HR Whisperer and the Lazy Millennial.
whoop, whoop. All right, and I will be making another event soon, and I'll figure out a topic for that one, and I hope to see you guys there.
All right. Have a great Friday.
Bye, you too. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye.